So can we just talk about curses? There are only a handful of curses in the game, and let's just be honest. Most of them either 1, are stupid annoying, 2, do basically nothing, or 3, they were never actually implemented correctly into the game. So I just kind of wanted to go through and rank the impact of each curse on a given run, alongside kind of talk about the potential reworks or updates I would love to see for each of these curses. Alright, so let's just start off here with Curse of the Blind. This one, I think we all know what this one does. All item sprites are replaced with a question mark that are not revealed until you actually pick up what the item is. So I'm going to zoom forward until you can actually see it in action. But like here, the item pedestal, you can't see what it is until you pick it up, and now we found out it's a little haunt. So this is stupidly annoying to deal with in most, if not all, of the runs you find it in. I mean, the biggest thing that impacts your run by is if you want to play smart and you want to try to win the run, the safest thing to do is to skip the blind items, because you don't know what those items are. So it's the safest course of action is just to not pick it up in case there are bad items in there. Like say you find an item in the secret room, but you don't know what it is. There's a high chance it could just be cursed eye or something that can ruin your run, or like as much as I love TM Trainer, you're probably not going to win the TM Trainer run. Okay, so like you probably don't want to pick it up if you're like doing a streak or something and actually trying to win, not the play. The only reason I put this at a 3 out of 5 in terms of needing an update is I like the idea of not knowing the item you're picking up, but I don't think having zero clue what the item is the way to go. I think a better direction for this to go, there are existing mods that do something similar to the suggestion here, is just replacing the question mark with an actual silhouette of the item itself. So this way, newer players and the people who are kind of like mild with the game may not know all of the item's silhouettes. They're harder to look up, so you're still going to be going in blind. In this scenario here, this could have been Cursed Eye. Luckily, it wasn't, but it could have been. It could have been. Just getting the silhouette of the item on the pedestal instead of just a question mark. So the people that are like put in thousands of hours of the game, the curse doesn't really affect them, but I think it would be really cool for newer players. Now, a big suggestion and tweak I would say to this, because I know there is an existing mod that already does the silhouetted items in place of the question mark, but I want to stack on top of that. Because in the game, Icicle, okay, if you haven't heard of Icicle before, it's basically Wordle, but with Isaac items. There is a hard mode in that, which has a similar thing where it gives you a hint of the silhouette of an item. But if you're playing on a hard mode, the silhouette is not just a silhouette of the item, it's a more obscured silhouette of the item itself, so it's a little more blurry, it's a little more out of focus, so it's harder for you to tell what it is, even with thousands of hours in the game. Now that I would love to see, if there are 2 different variants of the curses, depending on the actual, if you're playing on normal mode or on hard mode, would be great. So people on normal mode would only get the normal silhouette. But if you're playing on hard mode, you would get a more obscured, blurry silhouette. So again, even the pro players that have played the game for thousands and thousands of hours are still having difficulties knowing what the item is, but you can kind of guess what it is. So you can probably guess, oh, if I go into the curse room, see a circular object that's kind of small, I can probably tell it's Cursed Eye. Let's just not pick it up. But if it's a shape not even similar to that, you're like, okay, I don't mind what this is because I know it's not going to be Cursed Eye. Let's just pick it up anyways, even though I have no clue what it is. I think that's a really, really cool way this could go. Obviously, the curses are meant to be slightly annoying, so there needs to be a bit of a challenge to it. But having just the entirety and having the best option to be just not pick up items, I don't think is the best way to play the game. So that's what I suggest here for the Curse of the Blind. I think there's some cool updates you can do. But at the end of the day, right now, I think it does need a little bit of an update. All right, well, next up, we got Curse of Darkness. Super fun curse, right, guys? All it does, it just makes the screen darker and forces the player to turn up their brightness settings. What a great curse to just change the brightness settings on your monitor to get around the curse. Now, don't get me wrong. There are items and stuff that help you get around this curse, but I mean, the curse as is, it doesn't impact your run at all. 1 out of 5 impact, it doesn't do anything. Like, listen, it's a little annoying for like larger rooms, and if like you have like a big boss fight with Delirium and Curse of Darkness, I get it's kind of annoying. But most of the time, you're not going to run into that. So I don't think that's really a big issue. I mean, the biggest thing is how little impact it has on the run. So my idea in terms of how to update this or kind of slightly rework it is to kind of go around the theme of darkness, but kind of change the impact. Because instead of just having the player turn their brightness settings differently on their computer, I kind of want this to be more themed around darkened enemies and like the theme of Isaac being a darker game in general. And by dark, I mean shadows. I mean like different enemies that are themed around darkness and things like oozing off the walls that are just like pure quote-unquote evil and just a darkness coming in invading Isaac's basement. I think that would be really cool. So the whole idea would just be like having different floor themes based around this curse, which with this like a slightly different, darker aesthetic, with not obscuring your view, but just making the whole floor just a bit like darker themed. And the whole idea would be to have different darker themed enemies with maybe different kind of patterns in there that are just based around normal enemies. And the whole idea would just be to make the floor a little bit harder. That is the main idea. Just have a darker theme, darker enemies that make it so the game's just a little more difficult for that floor and a little bit different from what you're used to. I think that's a good way to kind of keep in the aesthetic of having a dark kind of curse without just making the entire screen dark and just annoying to play with. I do think there are cool ways for this to go. That's just what I thought of. And I think if we did do it that way, where it's just a kind of a darker, more challenging floor, I think that would be cool. Anyways, that's my idea, fellas. Do we love it? So the next curse up is the curse of the YouTube subscribe button. If you want to, please make sure you're subscribed below. I'm trying to hit 50 million subscribers by the end of the year, and only you can make that possible. Anyways, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you. All right, well, next curse up is Curse of the Lost. This is the one that just takes away your map so you can't see anything anymore. But the one thing on top of this, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know, but on top of just not seeing your map, it actually makes the floor you're in larger by 4 if you can. So this is like a knock in the nuts, just because it's so annoying as is to not be able to see the map. And on top of that, the floor is now bigger, so it's like, don't get me wrong, having more rooms means more rewards. But having more rooms where you're not able to see the map equals you being lost for 10 minutes if you're in like the void or any kind of later floor. Early on, it's not too bad because the floors are kind of small as is. But once you get later on, if you get this curse, you're going to be so lost. It's just annoying. It's not difficult. It's just annoying. And why do we have curses that are just annoying? We can make them so much cooler. And the one thing that's really cool for the 5 people out there that play this game on the Nintendo 3DS, the one function that we don't have on PC or on console, on the 3DS, you are able to draw the map with your little stylus on the screen on the 3DS if you have this curse. Why can't I do that on PC? I have to get out a piece of paper and a pencil and then draw the map? No, let me do it on the screen and like make a little map in the top right up here while kind of like tracking along my progress. That would be kind of cool to do. But okay, getting off my little high horse, G-Force is now available. Get out of here. But the one thing that's cool, and the one update I would do to this curse is make it so we're still able to see the map, okay? Stay with me here. We're able to see the map still, but instead of just taking it away, the game adds in fake rooms on the map, okay? There are now fake rooms that kind of trick the player to trying to go the wrong direction, and maybe even add in some fake secret rooms along the map, or just special rooms in general. So maybe there's like a fake library you can see across the map that may or may not be fake, but alongside that, it would be cool to not just affect the map, but affect the room you're in. Like, say, not in this treasure room we're in here, but in the room before. Say there's like a mimic door that appears right above you there. There's no room on the map, but there's a door there. That would basically mean, hey, this is a mimic door, don't walk in it. So it would punish people for not paying attention to both the gameplay and the map at the same time. But I do think it would be a cooler idea. Instead of just taking the map, the game is actively trying to trick you with the map or with the different doors or things that are happening in the game. So I think it would be a cool and different idea. Obviously, you can level that up a bit by just having like fake pickups and stuff if you really want to get crazy. But if we're just staying with the whole map theme, I just think just having the map kind of trick you out alongside a few random doors that lead to absolutely nowhere. Or maybe they don't damage you, but they take you back to like the beginning of the floor or something, just to be a little bit more of a hindrance. Because the game seems to love that. I do think it's just a better direction to go. Instead of just taking resources away, you still have the same resources. You just need to pay a little bit more attention to them to make sure you're, capitalizing on the knowledge it's giving you. Anyways, weeb stats aside, that's my idea, fellas. That we like it. Good idea. Next curse up is Curse of the Maze. This is the one whenever you enter a new room, it occasionally takes Isaac to a different room than the one you're expecting. Alongside that, rooms with similar door layouts will actually flip-flop and swap places every now and then as well. It's not super frequent, but it does happen every now and then. Now, the only thing to mention with this curse, which a lot of people don't actually know, is that this actually does affect teleport cards as well. So thing like the Stars card or the Hermit card, where it typically would have sent Isaac to the treasure room or the shop, now has a chance for it not to do that and just send Isaac somewhere completely random, which I think is a cool little addition that not a lot of people know about. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a huge issue with this curse. Honestly, I mean, obviously all the curses are made to be annoying, and I think this one fits the bill pretty well. Because I mean, there are some situations where this can be very annoying, where say you're on like the mom floor with the mom's fight, and then you walk into a room and you don't think it's the mom fight, and then boom, bam, you're teleported into the fight, and you don't have a card to get out, and you're stuck defeating the boss and just going to the next floor, and maybe you miss out on some stuff because of that. It can be annoying. Do not get me wrong. Will that happen most of the time whenever you get this curse? No, I don't think. I mean, in a way, I think the idea is very fun. I think the most quote-unquote unfair part of this curse, or the most annoying part of it, is the rooms kind of flip-flopping around. So my idea for at least a little update up for this curse would just be to make it so the rooms that get swapped back and forth, instead of it changing the contents of the room itself, the pickups you get in the room itself would stay in that tile, but the room moves. Okay, I know I didn't explain that well, but just hear me out. We're now looking at a grid which has the Isaac mat. Are we all like imagining it in our brains? Okay, tile 4-7. Say we're on tile 4-7, wherever that is on the grid. Say we beat that room, and after completing the room, it spawns an eternal heart as a reward. Okay? Now you go to the next room, because you don't want to pick up the eternal heart just yet. You want to wait till the end of the floor. You go to the next room, and because you have Curse of the Maze, that room now gets flip-flopped with another location. Okay? It flip-flopped now. Now, typically, with Curse of the Maze, this would make it so that eternal heart also gets moved to that new location. But the way I want to suggest changing it is make it so Curse of the Maze does not teleport the contents of the room. It only teleports and swaps around the room layout itself. So that eternal heart that was on tile 4-7, instead of it moving over to tile 5-8 or wherever it was teleported, the eternal heart that we got in that room stays in tile 4-7. Because in my opinion, one of the biggest problems with this curse is you have to backtrack and try to just look at the minimap to see where the specific things you want to pick up went after they teleport around. And I think if we're able to know, oh, it's going to be in this tile no matter what, we just need to pay attention to the rooms we're actually going through to get this stuff. Because obviously there are different hazards you can find through different rooms. So it makes it just pay a little more attention while walking through the entire floor. Because on top of the contents just staying in the tile it was dropped in, I want to make it so the rooms flip around a lot more often than they are now. I know right now it's not very frequent, but I want to make it so that happens a little more often, and we have to pay a lot more attention to the rooms we're clearing and the rooms we're walking through to make sure we're not taking stupid damage. I think that's a good way this curse can go. And I think just kind of chunking the idea of Isaac just teleporting to weird locations, or if it does, maybe just make it so you can't get stuck in the mother fight. I think that's a really, really lame way to go. I think doing it in normal boss fights perfectly fine, but being cut off from an entire floor because you get a bad RNG with Curse of the Maze to teleport you to the mom fight, and you skipping your item room and your shop, and even if you're trying to go beast, you can't do that anymore because you don't have the card. I do think it's kind of lame to do. At least update that part. I think that's my main idea. I don't think there's a lot to change with the Curse of the Mage. Just a little quality of life stuff I think I would like to add in there. But yeah, that's my idea. Do we need to have it? No. Is it going to be a good idea? Maybe. Maybe. All right, next curse up, we got Curse of the Unknown. This is the one where it only takes away the health you have from the HUD, so you cannot see it anymore. Now this one, I don't think it's that bad, to be honest. I do think it can be annoying in certain scenarios, which is why I put it as a 2 out of 5 out of impact, which is just because there is a chance, not a 0% chance, in my head, there's a pretty high percent chance, you get this curse multiple floors in a row. And in cases like that, you have no idea what your health is sitting at. You may have a good guess, but obviously this impacts how you play the game, because now since you don't know your health without big confidence, you probably won't be playing any more sack rooms. You probably won't be taking any devil deals just because you're not too sure what your health is at exactly, unless you know you're pretty healthy and you're okay. You just don't know for sure. That uncertainty will lead people to obviously just go angels or ignore your sack rooms altogether. And I think just taking away the option of, hey, I can't play this anymore, I can't do this certain thing anymore, it's kind of a lame thing to do, just to take away options. I think curses should change the way of how you play and not just take away things of how you would typically play the game. So, an update I would do to this curse, I do think is a very, very cool idea that I do think the game should do, or at least something very similar. So instead of it just removing your health and not able to see it, I want to kind of expand to different parts of your HUD too. Why just stop with the hearts? It's called Curse of the Unknown. Why do I only not know my health? Why don't we not know everything else? Why don't I know my name? Who knows? But I would like to extend this to things like your coin count, your bomb count, your key count. Imagine, if you will, instead of having individual things with, oh, I have five coins, 3 bombs, and soon to be 1 key. Okay, now I'm going to pause it just so I can think out loud. We have 5 coins, 3 bombs, and 1 key. Imagine mushing all those things together so there's only one number for all 3 resources. So we know we have, I guess it would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 resources total. But with that, next to that 9, it would be the 3 icons. So we know we have 9 of some kind of resource. We are just not sure what resources we have in those 9. We would know in that 9, we would have some kind of coin, some kind of bomb, and some kind of keys. So alongside that, we're having just one general number explaining to us how many resources we have. I want to kind of update how we currently are dealing with Curse of the Unknown for our health, because I do think it is very lame just not being able to see my health at all. Obviously, if I'm like the Lost or the Keeper, where I know I have no health, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But on every other character in the game, you're dealing with some kind of hearts, and it would be nice to know at least what kind of health I have, right? So my suggestion, so instead of just taking it away, I want us to have, see how these hearts are like blank with a question mark? I want these to be filled up for each of the hearts I have. So we know, say I have 3 red HP and 2 soul hearts, okay? I want 5 of these hearts in total. That's all I want, just 5 of these weird question mark hearts to show up right up here. So I know I have 5 HP, but I just don't know what type of HP I have. So I know I have 5 in total, so if I want to go take a Devil Deal, if I want to go play the Sack Room, I can, because I know I have 5 HP in total, but I don't know what type of HP I have for each of those. So I don't know if I get hit, it'll be red heart damage. Now, obviously, if I'm paying attention, it should be perfectly fine, and I should know what kind of health I have. But if you're not paying that much attention, I do think it would be a cool way to kind of just, you know, if you're not paying attention, it's not the end of the world. I still know my HP. I still know when I'm about to die, and I should be freaking out when I should be freaking out. But to give us a lot more information and kind of things to go off of besides just, oh, I took it away, haha, good one. You know, it gives us a lot more information to play with. Now, if we want to go one step further, you know how I mentioned kind of combining the coin count, the bomb count, and key count into one? What if we did that with the stats, too? I know not everybody plays with the stat page, but I do think it would be funny to see just one big number on the left side of my screen go up or down depending on the items I pick up, and just add them all together and have just the sum of all the numbers over here on the left. I do think it would be funny. Will it really affect gameplay? No, but I think it's funny. But I do think this is a really cool idea to go with at least the health and kind of the resources in general and updating that. I do think it's a cool direction and maybe even a better direction for the game to go instead of just taking away your health. I don't think that's the best way to do it. So hopefully y'all agree, maybe. Next up, probably the most hated curse because of how badly this impacts the player, Curse of the Labyrinth. Now, what this one does, on paper, it sounds like a kind of cool thing, but it appears only on the first chapter of each floor. So only on chapter 1 of the basement, only on the caves 1, yada yada stuff, things like that. But this merges 2 floors together. It makes it an XL floor. So there are 2 bosses at the end of the floor, and there are also 2 item rooms or 2 treasure rooms on the floor as well, and it counts as 2 floors. So after you beat both this basement XL floor, you'll just go straight to the caves in the 3rd chapter in total. So there are so many bad things about this curse. But before I get to the bad things, let's just list off the few good things about this curse. The one good thing about this curse is if you get it on the very first floor and you don't get hit and you get your deal chance. Because if you don't know, if you get the XO floor on your very first room or very first floor, you do have a 100% chance to get a Devil Deal when typically you can only get a Devil Deal on the 2nd floor onwards. But since this counts as both the 1st and the 2nd floor, you do have that chance to get the Devil Deal. So if you say you do get the Devil Deal and then you go to the next floor, instead of it only going down to 33% chance for you to get a deal on the following floor, there's actually a 66% chance for you to get a deal on the next floor. And that's just because of how the deal chance and stuff works. That only works if you get the Curse of the Labyrinth on the very first, floor you're in. So other than that, the other good thing is if you get an XL floor on Downpour or in Dross. When going into the mirror room, you can now go fight 2 extra bosses instead of just 1 extra boss, so you get an additional item. Okay, there are circumstances where getting XL is good when going to the mirror world so you can get extra stuff. That's good. We like that. Those are the only 2 good things about this curse. Okay, now I guess you're saying, okay, Matt, curses aren't supposed to be good. Shut up. Okay, shut up. So this curse is so bad. Probably the biggest reason. The XL floor makes it so, yes, you have 2 treasure rooms. Yes, you get 2 item rooms throughout the floor. That's cool. Great. I'm glad there are 2 items alongside 2 bosses. The bad thing, there is still only 1 shop on the floor. And that's terrible. Because shops are one of the best things in Isaac and super underrated. Because all the shops, as long as they don't got greed in it, are good. Okay, you're always gaining a soul heart, a card, even an item, or even just getting more money out of the donation machine to be able to play other machines or beggars around the floor. Okay, and taking away an additional shop takes away a lot of resources you would be able to get throughout your run, and that's such a huge hit, especially on the early floor. You only have 6 floors to get a shop or to go through all the shops, and there's a good chance you're probably going to get greed in at least 1 or 2 of them. So just taking away 1 to make it so you only get 5 shops throughout the course of a run is so stupidly impactful, and I feel like it's way too punishing on the player for just getting a single curse. It takes away so many resources you could be able to get. Now, alongside that, the other bad thing about it, alongside taking away an additional shop from you, it takes away any kind of additional special rooms you could have gotten if you get a normal floor. Because, right, there are only a certain amount of special rooms that appear on a floor, so you can only get one curse room. You're missing out on another curse room. Like things like that, a sack room is only one chance for you to get a sack room on that floor, a library, a bedroom, other things like that. You now have only one chance to do it, to get that room, instead of you having two chances by having two separate floors. It just takes away different kinds of chances for you to get rooms, alongside it's going to take away a shop from you. This is just not good. And I was thinking about how to update this. How do you fix a curse like this so it doesn't seem as unfair while keeping the whole like aesthetic of, okay, having an XL floor? The biggest thing is just slap an extra shop in there. Okay, that's the biggest fix. Everything else, who cares? The deal chance, I didn't bring up the deal chance. Just know it impacts your deal chance in a bad way if it's not on the very first floor. It makes it so you have less of a chance to get the devil deal or any kind of deal you want. Anyways, I was thinking about ways to fix this, ways to change this while still staying in the theme. Is obviously slapping the additional shop in there is perfectly fine. Maybe adding an additional curse room or an additional special room, or there could be duplicates of special rooms that you would be able to find on an XL floor, just to kind of simulate you're going through two floors that are just really big. Besides that, I mean, I don't really see another way for this to like change in a major way, because I think on paper, this idea is good. It's a good idea to have like two floors mashed together. I do think they do it pretty well. It's just the whole thing of missing out on resources. Even secret, I didn't bring up secret rooms. Okay, you only have one pair of only one secret room, one super secret room on his XL floor, and you're missing out on another one. You're missing out on a rock bottom. I ran out of footage. Play it again. No, play it again. I'm so happy. You miss out on super secret rooms and secret rooms. Add in more. Just add in more of the special rooms you would be missing otherwise. At least one of them. Give me a shop at least or something. Or maybe there's a chance for you to find one extra thing. So either like one super secret room, one secret room, or one shop. So you get two of something. At least. I need to see this change. I really do. Alright, well hey, you may be thinking, hey Matt, there are only 6 curses in the game, but this is the 7th one we're talking about. What's going on? Well fellas, curse of the... Oh, I'm on the wrong scene. Ignore this. Fellas, cursed of the cursed. Yeah, so this is the one from the challenge just called Cursed, and from the seed Cursed, where it just makes all the doors spiky doors. Okay, not necessarily like a curse that's in the normal game, but it's in challenges, so I felt, the need to include it on this list. And I do think this curse has potential to come into the actual game. Obviously, because as is, this is a terrible curse. It's going to be so bad if you're playing anyone in like the Lost, or like, not even the Lost, just someone like Isaac, okay? Where you can't fly, you can't walk through the rooms, you're taking damage every single room. I have no way to guarantee heal myself unless I'm playing Maggie. My idea to make this an actual, like, quote-unquote playable curse that could appear on your floors. Make it so the cursed doors do not hurt you when going into them, but they hurt you whenever you leave, if that makes sense. So imagine that, like those speed bumps, that, you can go over them one way, but if you go over them the other way, you get fucking your tires smashed in by spikes. Okay, imagine that, or just imagine you being able to fly. Imagine you having flight. It's the same thing in my head. You go into the room, you don't take damage, but then whenever you leave, like the curse room, you do take damage. I want the same kind of thing here. Now, obviously, this would make it so if you're walking into any kind of new room, you don't take damage. But if you backtrack to an existing room, you do take damage, and that's a bad thing. You don't want to take damage. So I think just doing that as is will not make the curse playable, because the one thing I wanted to add on top of that is make it so the map layout changes its formatting to be very much so more linear. So you're not going in wrong directions. You know the direction you need to go. It's always the only one way for you to go. So you don't have to backtrack or go different directions to go down different paths and find out it's the wrong way. And then you have to backtrack, and then you take a bunch of damage because you're backtracking. Okay, not the idea. I want one straight line or like one zigzaggy line that goes straight to the boss, so you don't have to backtrack at all unless you're trying to min-max. So whenever you leave a room, you can't go back into that room. And if we wanted to be even more like, I guess, cursed with it, if you leave a room, you can't go back to that room ever. But I feel like having the spiky doors is a lot more thematic with the curse of the curse kind of thing. So we can leave the spiky doors and you just take damage whenever you go back into them. Now this would make it so obviously you can still play things like Lost, Tainted Lost, even things like Keeper, because whenever you walk into normal rooms, you wouldn't take damage. It would be like you have pseudo flying, even though you don't. So you just don't take damage walking in, you just do when you leave. So I don't think this is a great idea for having a curse in the game. I do think it's a cool concept and idea to make it so you can never backtrack through certain rooms and the floor kind of like leads you one direction, and you can't go back at all to redo anything, and you can't like pick up and decide to go to your treasure room right now, otherwise you just miss it. I think it's a cool idea. Anyways, that's the idea, fellas. And you may be thinking, wow, this is all of the curses? Nope, fellas, there's more. There's 2 more. Whoa, 2 more curses? What? Okay, next curse up, fellas. One of my favorites that's not actually in the game. I'm gonna go back just so we can see it. Fellas, hold on, wait for me to type curse. Right here, Curse of the Giant. Now, fellas, if you played Anti-Birth, back in the day before Repentance came out, this probably is bringing back some old memories. Curse of the Giant made it so any room in the floor is now either a 2x2, 1x2, or a 2x2, 1 layout room. Okay? It's all those L-shaped rooms now. They're no more small rooms. They're all bigger rooms. I do think this is a very, very, very cool idea. Now, as we can see with this room layout here, it's not just you're only playing in the bigger room layouts. It's actually a 1x1 room merged with a 1x2 room. So you can see like there are two different room layouts that are merged together in a room like this. I do think it's very cool, but it can be stupidly annoying because if you don't know, the reason you can access this through the debug menu in the base game of Repentance is because they were intending to throw this in the game because it came from Afterbirth. But because it caused so many issues, and I think I saw some notes where people were thinking it was very unfair because of rooms like this, where early on, this can be very annoying. I think it's a sick idea. Having things like this, just different kinds of curses in general, I think are so cool. Just give me more variation, because in the game we only have 6 curses. Only 6! Give me more variations to my curses. Make some of them fun. And this one changes up the gameplay. It changes up the feel of the game. Everything is now bigger. We have to be expecting for more. It makes the floor a little bit harder, which I do think is kind of cool. Now, don't get me wrong. If this is normalized in the game and I saw this like every other run, I probably would think it's very annoying. But me right now, sitting as a person where I've never played this in my game once. I just figured out this is on debug on my menu literally like a few days ago, and now I'm playing it. I do think it's cool. I mean, it would probably get annoying at some point, but right now, I think it's a cool idea. Besides just implementing this in the game and then boom bam calling it a day, my only other suggested change for this curse before implementing it is maybe we make it so like it makes Isaac and all the enemies really big, like it's a big head mode or something like that. Just imagine big head Isaac, like a mega mushed Isaac, and then all like the horfs or all the enemies are also equally as big. So it's like a Curse of the Giant is everybody is now really, really big. Or all the rooms are just bigger as is, whatever. Whatever floats your boat, okay? I do think it's a very cool curse that could you maybe need some balancing around how the rooms are kind of combined together to make sure the rooms aren't completely, stupidly unfair. But I mean, you know, it's really cool, man. It's a cool idea. Okay, next curse up. Matt, you may be saying, we've already gone through so many curses. What the heck is Curse of the Mist? Fellas, this is in the base game of Repentance. Now, this can only be found in the mom's chase sequence to get the second mom's knife piece when you go through this minecart here. And then boom, bam, it takes away all of Isaac's items. That is what this curse does innately right now in the game. It just disables all of Isaac's items. Now, obviously, this is just found here, but I would love to see this expanded on, to see this kind of effect, maybe not exactly like this, but I want to see this curse outside and doing different things. Now, obviously, just making it, so if you go to, like, the 5th floor, you get Curse of the Mist. I don't want to just take away your items. That's very silly. But my idea, I have 2 separate ideas on how this will work. Okay, you beat the 3rd floor. Okay, you beat Caves 1. Yippee, good job, you beat Caves 1. You're now going on to Caves 2. Oh, no, you got Curse of the Mist. What happens is you get, like, teleported back at the very start of the floor, back to Caves 1. But this time, when going through Caves 1, keep in mind, the layout is going to be exactly the same. The exact same floor, the exact same rooms, the exact same layout. The only thing that are going to be different are the resources that drop and maybe the items in the item room and the things in the shop. That's going to change. But I want the floor layout to be exactly the same, the room layouts for each room to be exactly the same as what they were. But now you're redoing the entire floor for your Caves 2 floor. Now, Matt, you may be thinking, okay, why the heck are you just doing it again? Okay, what's the point of just doing it again? Well, this time, there's a little more stress. Because this time, there's now a timer on screen. Okay, and similar to how, like, in the Red Redemption Challenge, how you use that red key, and if you use it too much, there's like a tainted Jacob that appears from the floor and starts fighting you. I want that to happen, but with a timer. Okay, say you now have like a 3 or 4 minute timer to complete the floor, and if you don't, this Mother Shadow thing starts chasing you, okay? And it would do a similar effect of either just doing damage to you, or if it touched you, you just died or something. That may be a little bit too harsh, but I like the idea of having you completing a floor you have already completed and just completed, so you kind of know the layout, you know where to go, you know what to do, but this time you have a little more stress on your back to make sure you do it quickly. And if you have a timer counting down to this Mother Shadow thing chasing you, I do think that could be very, very cool thematically. Now, obviously, it doesn't really stick with the whole thematics of disabling your items, but it kind of goes with the fact that it's the Mother Shadow thing facing you and kind of chasing you down. Now, the other option, if we're not going that way, I have another option here of it doing something a little more lamer, in my opinion, and not as flashy, which honestly is probably a lot easier to do. is just make it so whenever you get this curse, it disables all the items Isaac got from the previous floor. Or there's even an option here to make it so any items you gain on the current floor aren't added to your item like inventory until the following floor. So I think there's a lot of different ways you can go with this, but I do think there are some avenues you can run down with this whole idea of either Isaac disabling some items or going through some kind of chase sequence outside of just the mother's knife piece chase scene thing. Because right now, obviously, I said it before, there are only 6 curses in the game, and there are other ones that are already implemented in the game, and there's different ways you can, expand those ideas to actually be in the base game. I know there are other ideas for curses people have had too, and people have added their own custom mods and curses. The whole idea for this one is I just wanted to go through existing curses in the game and kind of expanding them and updating them. And since these are kind of like already in the base game, obviously with all the different like modifications I want to do, you would need to code it all. But like the idea is there in the game. I just want to expand on those ideas and try to make the game better with what it already has. That's my idea for the Curse of the Mist here. I do think it's a cool idea that would be able to be explored somehow eventually. What do we think? Great ideas? Cooking? I feel like I was cooking a little bit on some of these. Well, if you had to update the curses, what would you like to see in them? Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. Like and subscribe and stuff. I do really appreciate it. I am trying to hit 50,000 subs by the end of the year, so if you want to make sure you're subbed, I would really appreciate it, you guys. Anyways, y'all have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching the video. Curses out.